There is a war being fought every single day, and the battlefield is your mind. You've felt it, haven't you? That feeling of drowning in your own life. One moment you're fine, and the next, a single email, a stranger's comment, or a news headline hijacks your peace for hours. You react with an anger you later regret. You're paralyzed by anxiety about a future that hasn't even happened. You feel like a passenger in your own body, dragged along by emotions you didn't choose. What if I told you this isn't your default setting? What if I told you your peace is being stolen every day, and you're the one handing over the keys? What if there was a secret, a code, an operating system for the human mind, forged over 2,000 years ago and used by some of the most resilient individuals who ever lived? What did a Roman emperor who ruled during a deadly plague, a prisoner of war who survived years of torture, and today's top athletes and CEOs all have in common? They weren't born differently than you. They simply had access to this code, a way to build an inner fortress, a citadel of calm so impenetrable that no external storm can touch it. What you are about to see is not just another list of self-help tips. It is a map, a step-by-step guide to reclaiming the power that already exists inside you. It is the key to transmuting chaos into clarity, pain into purpose, and anxiety into unshakable serenity. This path is not for everyone. It requires the courage to look inward and the honesty to confront yourself. But if you are here, it's because you are ready. So, before we take the first step, make a pact with your future self. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. This is more than a click. It's your first act of control. And to seal your commitment, comment, "I am in control," below right now. Join our community of strong minds. If you are here watching this, it's because a part of you is tired of living in reactive mode. A part of you knows you were made for more than just surviving your days. You were made to command them. So the only question left is, are you ready to stop being a prisoner of your own mind and become its master? Stay with me, and I will show you how. The journey to unlocking your inner fortress begins now. Principle 1. The inner citadel, the master key to immediate peace. Let's begin with the concept that, once you truly grasp it, will irrevocably change the way you experience every moment of your life. It is Stoicism's worst-kept secret, the foundation upon which everything else is built, the dichotomy of control. The philosopher Epictetus, a man who knew the depths of powerlessness as a slave, gave us this master key with stunning clarity. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. This distinction is the bedrock of tranquility. Modern psychology shows us the biological cost of ignoring this lesson. When we stress about traffic, politics, or the opinions of others, our body releases cortisol, the stress hormone. To live in a chronic state of worry about the uncontrollable is to live in a chemical bath of stress that degrades our health, our mental clarity, and our happiness. The Stoics called external events impressions, fantasiae. An impression is an automatic thought about an event. The traffic is horrible. My day is ruined. Human power for the Stoics lies in the discipline of examining this impression before agreeing with it, the discipline of assent. You do not have to agree with your automatic thoughts. You can observe them and pass judgment on them. Yes, the traffic is bad, you can think, but my day will only be ruined if I assent to that judgment. Think about how much energy you waste every day on a war you cannot win, a war against the past, a war against the actions of others. These are battles, lost before they even begin. Fighting the uncontrollable isn't heroic, it's self-sabotage. It is the source of 99% of your anxiety. Now, Feel the seismic shift that happens when you deliberately withdraw your energy from these battles. What is left? What is undeniably, absolutely 100% under your control? The story you tell yourself about what is happening, the integrity with which you choose to act, the virtue you decide to embody, the meaning you assign to events, your inner world. This is your citadel. Imagine your mind as an impenetrable fortress. Outside, chaos may reign, the armies of adversity may lay siege, but within those walls, you are the absolute sovereign. No one can force you to think, judge, or choose against your will. This is your inalienable power. The story of Epictetus illustrates this perfectly. While still a slave, his master, Epictetus, in a fit of rage, began to twist his leg. Epictetus calmly warned him, "If you continue, it will break." The master persisted, and the bones snapped. Without screaming or crying, Epictetus simply looked at him and said, "Didn't I tell you it would break?" For him, his body was an external, subject to another's will. But his response, his calm, his dignity, that was his and his alone. He could be enslaved in body, but his mind remained free. Let's make this real. You spilled coffee on your shirt minutes before a crucial presentation. The old reactive script is a disaster. Why does this always happen to me? This is a sign. The day is ruined. Panic, frustration, a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. The Stoic script is different. The pause, the analysis of the impression. An event has occurred. Coffee has stained the shirt. My initial judgment is, this is a disaster. The refusal to assent, is this judgment useful? No. The choice of a new judgment. This is an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. Then the turn inward. What is within my control? My reaction, my composure. I can see this as a disaster or as a funny icebreaker story. The stain doesn't define the quality of my work. My reaction to it does. Practical exercise. The Journal of Mental Sovereignty. For 1 week, commit to this nightly ritual. It is your training to become the guardian of your citadel. Column 1, the external event. Objectively describe an event that caused you distress. E.g., I received a critical email from my boss. Column 2, my first impression, automatic judgment. Write down the immediate reactive thought. E.g., he thinks I'm incompetent, my job is at risk. Column 3, the sovereign response, controlled judgment. Challenge the first impression and choose a more rational, virtuous response. E.g., the email contains feedback that is outside my control. Within my control is how I use this feedback. Instead of panicking, I will analyze the points, correct what is necessary, and respond professionally. This is an opportunity to improve, not a personal attack. This exercise is not about self-blame. It is about training your vision. It's learning to see the clear line between the useless battlefield of the external world and the peaceful, powerful kingdom of your own choices. With practice, you stop fighting wars you can't win and start fortifying the only kingdom that truly matters. Principle 2, the alchemy of perception, turning lead into gold. If the dichotomy of control is the foundation, this next principle is the very magic of Stoicism. It is the art of mental alchemy, the ability to take the raw lead of pain, failure, and disappointment and transmute it into the gold of strength, wisdom, and purpose. This art is contained in the phrase from the emperor-philosopher Marcus Aurelius, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This principle goes a step beyond mere acceptance. It leads us into the territory of amor fati, a love of one's fate. It's not just about enduring what happens, but loving it, seeing every event, no matter how challenging, as necessary, as an integral part of the fabric of your destiny. Like a blacksmith who needs the fire and the hammer to forge a blade, the Stoic sees adversity as the indispensable tools that forge the soul. Our default programming is to see obstacles as anomalies, as unjust interruptions on our otherwise smooth path to happiness. Stoicism begs us to see with new eyes. It is not the end of the road, it is the road. The difficulty is not an interruption of our growth journey, it is the journey itself. Think of the oyster. A grain of sand, an irritant invades its shell. The oyster's reaction is not to complain about the unfairness of the sand. It is to act. It patiently coats the irritant with layer upon layer of nacre, transforming the source of its irritation into the most precious of jewels, a pearl. For the Stoic, every obstacle, every irritant, every setback is a grain of sand. Consider the story of an Olympic athlete who, at the peak of her career, suffers an injury that sidelines her for a year. The common path is that of tragedy and self-pity, but the alchemist's path is different. The athlete, after the initial shock, begins to see the injury as a grain of sand. Off the track, she cannot train her body, but she can train her mind. She dives into sports psychology, studies her competitors' strategies, learns about nutrition and recovery in a way she never had time for before. She becomes a mentor to younger athletes. When she finally returns, she is not just physically recovered, she is mentally tougher, strategically smarter, and spiritually deeper than ever before. The injury, the obstacle that should have ended her career, became the catalyst that made her a complete champion. The event doesn't change, but your role in it does. You go from victim to protagonist. The obstacle that was meant to destroy you becomes the tool that sculpts you. This applies to everything. The person who betrayed you gave you a priceless lesson in character, forgiveness, and the importance of choosing your associates wisely. The injury that keeps you from running forces you to explore new forms of strength, like swimming or yoga, and teaches you the virtue of patience. The panic of public speaking is not a curse. It is an invitation to practice courage and master a skill that will serve you for the rest of your life. This is not a look on the bright side fantasy. It is a strategy of total engagement. It's looking directly at the darkness and finding the fuel it contains. It is the ultimate refusal to be defeated. Practical exercise, the Pearl Journal. Transform your notebook into an alchemist's workshop. Isolate the irritant. Describe the problem objectively, like a scientist. I was passed over for the promotion. My project failed. Begin coating in nacre. Now ask, what virtues can I practice here? Patience to wait for the next opportunity. Courage to ask for feedback. Justice to see the other person's side. Wisdom to learn from the failure. Imagine the pearl. Describe the stronger, wiser person you would become if you used this obstacle perfectly. How would this person walk, talk, and act? The first layer. What is the immediate, controllable action that starts building this pearl? It's not solve the whole problem. It's the first layer. I will schedule a 15-minute meeting to ask for constructive feedback. Past post-mortem. Think of a major obstacle from your past that you overcame. Write about how, in hindsight, it benefited you. What strength or wisdom did you gain that you wouldn't have otherwise? Recognizing how past adversity forged you gives you confidence to face present adversity. This exercise moves you out of victim mode and into creator mode. It trains you to see challenges not as punishments, but as life's curriculum, designed to make you the strongest version of yourself. Principle 3. The gateway to reality. Live in the present moment. Our mind is a broken time machine. It constantly flings us backward into a past that cannot be changed, forcing us to relive mistakes in a loop of regret. Or it catapults us forward into a future that doesn't exist, making us rehearse disasters that will likely never happen in a cycle of anxiety. Regret is a form of depression, anxiety a form of fear. Both remove us from the only place where we have power. Stoicism calls us back to the only place where life is actually happening, the present moment. Living in the present, what the Stoics called hic et nunc, here and now, is not a vague concept. It is a rigorous discipline. It's where agency exists. The past is a cancelled check. The future is a promissory note. The present is the only cash you have. Seneca captured this human tragedy perfectly. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Most of us postpone living. I'll be happy when I get the promotion, retire. We are always living for a destination that, when reached, is immediately replaced by another. Stoicism offers a radical antidote. Stop postponing. Life is not happening up ahead. It is happening here, now, in this breath. Being present is the secret to peak performance, what athletes call the flow state. In that state, worry about the outcome vanishes, and there is only total focus on the present action. It's in this state that we do our best work and find the greatest satisfaction. Presence is not just for peace, it is for excellence. Think about your interactions. When you are with someone you love, but your mind is 1,000,000 miles away, you are not truly there. You are with the ghost of your worries. The other person feels it, the connection fades. But when you give someone the gift of your full, undivided presence, your eyes, your ears, your mind focused on them, you create a sanctuary. The connection deepens, the relationship flourishes, the quality of your life comes down to the quality of your attention. If your attention is scattered, your life will feel scattered and chaotic. If your attention is focused and present, your life will feel integrated and meaningful. Marcus Aurelius knew the empire he truly needed to rule was the empire of his own mind. He instructed himself, strive to be the person philosophy wishes you to be. And that person is present. They give every task, no matter how small, the dignity of their full attention. Practical exercise, the ritual of presence. Choose one daily activity you normally do on autopilot. For 1 week, turn this activity into a ritual of presence. If it's drinking coffee, don't sip it while checking emails. Sit down, feel the warmth of the mug, inhale the aroma, take the first sip and just taste it, noticing all the flavors. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the sensation of the coffee. If it's brushing your teeth, feel the bristles on your teeth. Hear the sound. Pay attention to the taste of the toothpaste. Instead of a rushed chore, treat it as a 2-minute meditation. The 1-minute mini meditation. Set an alarm to go off 3 times during your workday. When it rings, stop everything. Close your eyes. And for 60 seconds, do nothing but focus on your breath. Feel the air come in and out. Don't try to stop your thoughts, just watch them pass like clouds. After 1 minute, return to your work. This practice breaks the spell of busyness and anchors you back in reality. This exercise may seem trivial, but it is fundamental training. Every time you pull your mind back from distraction to the present reality, you are doing a rep for your attention muscle. You learn to live where life is, not in the haunted realms of the past or future. Principle 4. The muscle of the will. Practice self-discipline. The word discipline often conjures images of harsh restriction, of a joyless life, but the Stoic view of self-discipline is radically different. For the Stoics, self-discipline is not a prison. It is the key to true freedom. Freedom, they would argue, is not the ability to indulge your every whim. That, in fact, is a form of slavery. Slavery to your own fleeting desires, habits, and reactions. True freedom is the freedom from being controlled by these forces. It is self-mastery. Self-discipline, the virtue of temperance, is the muscle that wields this mastery. Discipline is what makes the other virtues possible. You need discipline to be courageous when you feel fear. You need discipline to be just when you feel the pull of greed or anger. You need discipline to apply wisdom instead of giving in to lazy ignorance. Modern psychology calls this decision fatigue. The more trivial, impulsive decisions we make, the more we deplete our willpower. Stoic discipline is a system for conserving that energy. By building virtuous habits, you automate excellence, freeing up your mental strength for the great challenges. Stoic self-discipline is the daily practice of aligning your actions with your highest self. It is the conscious choice of what is meaningful in the long run over what is merely gratifying in the moment. It is the choice to get up early to exercise, not because it is easy, but because your long-term health is more important. It is the choice to respond to an insult with silence and calm, not because you don't feel anger, but because your integrity is more important. It is the choice to focus on deep work, not because there are no distractions, but because your contribution is more important. Cato the Younger was a Roman statesman and a paragon of Stoic discipline. He wore simple clothes, ate basic meals, and walked barefoot, not out of poverty, but as constant training to fortify his resistance to luxury and weakness. He became immune to the temptations that corrupted his peers. His discipline made him incorruptible and a legend of integrity. Practical exercise, voluntary discomfort. Once a week, choose one small act of voluntary discomfort. The goal is not to torture yourself, but to train your will and recalibrate your appreciation. Taking a cold shower, this trains you to do something your body instinctively resists. Fasting for a period, this teaches self-restraint and makes you appreciate simple food. Sleeping on the floor for a night, this breaks your dependence on comfort. Leaving your phone at home for a day, this trains you to resist distraction. By practicing these small acts, you send a powerful message to yourself. I am not a slave to my comfort. I am in control. Voluntary discomfort also combats hedonic adaptation, the tendency to get used to what we have. By temporarily removing a comfort, you welcome it back with renewed gratitude. When life inevitably imposes involuntary discomfort upon you, you will be prepared. The self-discipline built in times of calm becomes your armor in times of crisis. Principle 5. The unshakable mountain. Build emotional resilience. Life is inherently unpredictable. We will lose loved ones, face failures, and encounter injustice. No philosophy can shield us from these events. What Stoicism offers is the ability to withstand them without breaking. Stoic resilience is not the suppression of emotion. It is a common misconception that Stoics were robots. The difference lay in their relationship to their emotions. They saw them like the weather, storms that come and go. Resilience is the practice of being the unshakable mountain, which experiences the rain and wind, but remains firm at its core. The anatomy of an emotion, for a Stoic, is a four-step process. Event, impression, initial thought, assent, agreeing with the impression, emotion. Our power lies at the assent stage. The event is not the problem. Our agreement with the impression that the event is terrible or unbearable is what creates suffering. A key tool for this is negative visualization or premeditatio malorum. Imagine Marcus Aurelius on the eve of a battle. He would not spend the night in blind optimism. He would spend time contemplating disaster, the loss of the battle, the annihilation of his legions, his own death. This wasn't pessimism, it was the height of mental preparation. By facing the worst in his mind, he freed himself from fear and could lead with strategic clarity, not reactive panic. Another powerful resilience technique is the view from above. Marcus Aurelius would practice imagining himself floating above the earth, looking down at the vastness of the world and time. From up there, he saw entire cities, nations, and generations rise and fall. He saw his own problems shrink to their true size, small and temporary in the grand scheme of the cosmos. This shift in perspective is a potent antidote to stress and self-importance. This extends even to grief. The Stoic does not deny the pain of loss. Pain is a natural reaction. However, resilience means understanding the distinction between initial pain and prolonged suffering. Suffering comes from our judgment that I cannot live without this person. The Stoic grieves, honors the memory, but understands that while the loss is outside their control, their ability to continue to live virtuously in the present remains. It is a grief that honors the past without destroying the future. Practical exercise. The Stoic pause. When you feel a strong negative emotion welling up, institute a Stoic pause. Stop, create a physical or mental space. Take one deep breath. Examine the impression. Ask yourself, is this impression truly the truth or just my initial interpretation? Challenge the judgment. Remember virtue. Ask yourself, what would the virtuous response be here? What would courage, temperance, justice, and wisdom demand of me? Respond, don't react. Having created this space and consulted your values, choose a deliberate response instead of giving in to an impulsive reaction. Practicing the Stoic pause is like lifting weights for your soul. Each time you use it, you become stronger, calmer, and more capable of navigating the storms of life. You become the mountain. We have traveled far today, not across miles, but across millennia of wisdom. We didn't just discuss ideas, we have unveiled a code for living, a code that empowers you to stop fighting wars you cannot win and to start fortifying the impenetrable citadel of your mind. We have discovered the alchemy that turns the lead of your worst days into the gold of your character, reminding you that the obstacle is not in your way, it is your way. We have called you back from the haunted wilderness of the past and the anxious mirage of the future to the only place where life happens, the present moment. We have shown you that self-discipline is not a cage, but the key that frees you from the prison of your own impulses. And we have given you the tools to build a resilience so profound you can face the storms of life not with fear, but with the calm of a mountain that knows in the end, storms always pass. Stoicism is not a passive philosophy to be admired on a shelf. It is a call to action. If this map has resonated with you, if you felt a spark of recognition or a surge of hope, then act on it. Smash the like button so more people can find this code. Share this video with one person you know is fighting their own inner war. And most importantly, subscribe and join this tribe because our journey is just beginning. In the comments below, tell me which principle you will start practicing today. Make it real. The journey doesn't end here. In fact, it has just begun. Every day, every moment is a new opportunity to practice. You will fail, you will forget, but then you will remember and you will practice again. This is how strength is built. This is how serenity is won. So, the question that remains is not what you have learned, but what will you do? Are you ready to stop being a leaf in the wind and become the captain of your soul? The life you desire, a life of purpose, peace, and inner power, is not a distant dream. It is the result of the next choice you make. Begin now, and your journey doesn't have to stop here. To deepen your practice, click on one of the videos appearing on your screen now. We have prepared a selection to guide you in the next step to forging your unshakable mind. Continue the training. Keep growing.